I'm 65, and I've learned to cherish my solitude. Not out of bitterness, not out of resentment, but out of a deep, hard-earned understanding of what truly matters. For most of my life, I was the person who showed up, no hesitation, no questions asked. Friends, family, acquaintances, even strangers, I gave my time freely, believing that every relationship was worth nurturing. But as the years passed, I realized something. Not every connection deserves the energy it demands. Getting older changes the way we see the world. Time, once an endless expanse stretching before us, starts to feel like a dwindling resource. We no longer waste it on idle chatter, on obligations we accept out of guilt, or on people who drain us rather than uplift us. Instead, we begin to guard our time fiercely, treating it as the precious gift it truly is. This shift isn't rooted in fear, it's born from wisdom. I no longer view time as just hours on a clock. I see it as the essence of my existence. Every sunrise feels richer, every deep conversation more meaningful, every quiet morning with a cup of coffee more sacred. Even the simplest moments, a stroll through the park, a book read slowly, the warmth of the sun on my skin, hold a weight they never did before. So, I made a choice. I stopped saying yes to every invitation, stopped engaging in conversations that left me empty. I stopped allowing my time to be consumed by obligations that brought me no joy. Instead, I focus on the people and experiences that truly matter. A heartfelt talk with an old friend means more to me than any crowded gathering ever could. It's not isolation, it's self-respect. Time is my most trusted companion now. It reminds me to be deliberate, to savor, to let go of what no longer serves me. And if you're feeling the same way, know this: you're not alone. There's no rule book for how to spend your time, but here's what I've learned: protect it, fill it with purpose, and surround yourself with those who truly value you. Because when you start treating time as the treasure it is, life transforms into something far more meaningful. And as for relationships, they change just as we do. Some fade, some deepen, and some simply run their course. And that's okay. When I was younger, I believed relationships were built on relentless effort. I remembered every birthday, showed up at every gathering, reached out even when I was exhausted. I thought that being present for everyone, always available, always giving, was what made me a good friend, a reliable neighbor, a devoted family member. But with time, I came to understand a difficult truth. Not all relationships are created equal. Some fill you up, while others quietly drain you. This realization didn't arrive suddenly. It unfolded over years. Years of beautiful moments and painful lessons. I've been let down by people I trusted, hurt by those I counted on, and gradually distanced from family members whose lives drifted in directions I couldn't follow. For the longest time, I took these losses personally. I replayed moments, questioned my actions. What did I do wrong? Could I have done more? But now, from where I stand, I see things differently.
People change.
I've changed. And sometimes the kindest thing you can do is let go. One of the most freeing lessons I've learned is that true relationships are mutual. A connection should never be one-sided, endless giving with nothing in return. Instead, it should feel balanced. Does this person support me as much as I support them? Do they listen as much as they speak? Do they bring warmth into my life, or do they leave me feeling depleted? As the years have passed, my circle has naturally grown smaller. But what remains is richer, deeper, more meaningful. The people who are still by my side are the ones who truly matter. The ones who see me for who I am, who accept me without conditions, who bring joy into my days rather than obligation. I no longer waste my energy trying to hold on to relationships that no longer fit the person I've become. That doesn't mean I don't feel moments of nostalgia. There are times when I think about old friends I've lost touch with or family members whose paths have veered away from mine. But instead of regret, I feel gratitude. Those relationships, however brief or distant they may be now, shaped me. They taught me, challenged me, and left behind memories I'll always cherish. They were part of my journey, even if they aren't part of my present. So here's what I've learned. Don't hold on out of guilt or obligation. Let relationships evolve as they're meant to. Focus on the ones that bring you peace, that nourish your soul, that reflect the person you are today. When you do that, you'll find yourself surrounded by something far greater than just companionship. You'll find authenticity, love, and the kind of connections that make life truly meaningful. And when it comes to trust, that's a lesson all its own. Don't forget to like this video, leave a comment, and subscribe to stay updated with all the amazing content. Share it with your friends too. Let's grow this community together. Also, we've now got super chat, super stickers, and super thanks activated. So if you've been enjoying the content and want to see even more amazing, high-quality stories, here's your chance to join the inner circle. On the side, you can click that shiny join button up top and pick the level that works for you. Most importantly, your support will give me more time to create better, bolder, and brainier content for you. There is no pressure, but you'll officially be my favorite person if you join. Yes, I play favorites now. Thank you so much in advance for considering it. You're the real MVP. I've walked away from relationships that drained me, no matter how deeply rooted they were in my past. It wasn't easy, but I've come to understand that protecting my peace is worth the weight of letting go. That doesn't mean I've lost faith in trust altogether. It just looks different now. Every now and then, people still surprise me in the best ways. A stranger who offers a helping hand without expecting anything in return. A neighbor who checks in after a storm just to make sure I'm alright. These small, unspoken gestures remind me that trust, though fragile, is not impossible to rebuild. The key is balance. It's about setting boundaries, not walls. It's about offering trust gradually to those who prove themselves worthy over time. It's about keeping your circle small but strong, filled with people who show up consistently with kindness and respect. So if you've found yourself more guarded with age, know that it's not a flaw, it's wisdom. Protecting your trust isn't about shutting people out. It's about valuing yourself enough to be selective. And at this stage in life, that's not just a choice, it's a necessity. The world has changed. At 65, it's impossible not to notice just how much the world has transformed. Everything moves faster now, more chaotic, more digital, more demanding. Convenience has never been greater, yet something essential seems to have been lost along the way. Warmth, simplicity, true connection. I grew up in a time when relationships felt real. Neighbors weren't just people who lived nearby, they were friends. We didn't need an invitation to stop by, share a cup of coffee, and lose track of time in conversation. Family gatherings weren't penciled into a schedule. They happened naturally, effortlessly, simply because we wanted to be together. Now, everything feels different. Life is filled with endless to-do lists, screens flashing notifications, conversations squeezed into rushed moments between distractions. Even family time feels fragmented, dictated by distance and busy schedules. Technology, for all its wonders, has played a part in this shift. I love that I can video call my grandchildren or reconnect with an old friend online, but no screen can replace the feeling of sitting across from someone, hearing their voice without distortion, feeling their presence without interruption. And then there's the noise, the never-ending updates, the constant hum of information, the world demanding attention at all hours. Strangely, despite being more connected than ever, so many of us feel isolated. It's a strange paradox to have unlimited ways to stay in touch, yet struggle to find true connection. This isn't about resisting change or longing for the past. Every era has its challenges. Every generation adapts. But at this stage in my life, I find myself drawn to simplicity. I choose to step away from the rush, to focus on what truly matters: heartfelt conversations, meaningful relationships, and the quiet joy of simply being present. And if you feel the same, it's okay to slow down. It's not about rejecting modern life. It's about choosing where to invest your energy. In a world that moves so fast, choosing simplicity isn't about giving up. It's about holding on to what's real, to what's lasting, to what matters most. Solitude isn't loneliness. There's a difference between solitude and loneliness, and understanding that has been one of the most freeing lessons of my life. Solitude isn't loneliness. Loneliness is an ache, a feeling of emptiness that creeps in when we long for connection but can't seem to find it. Solitude, on the other hand, is a choice, an intentional space we create for peace, reflection, and renewal. It's not something to fear. It's something to embrace. In solitude, I've found clarity that's hard to come by in the rush of everyday life. There's a quiet beauty in those simple moments, sitting on the porch with a warm cup of tea, listening to the wind rustling through the trees, or watching the sun sink slowly below the horizon. These aren't just ways to pass the time. They enrich it. They remind me of life's small joys, things I often overlooked before. Reflecting on the past has also become a source of comfort during these moments of stillness. Instead of dwelling on mistakes or missed opportunities, I now focus on the lessons I've learned and the memories that bring me happiness. Solitude offers the space to look inward, to make peace with the life I've lived, and to find gratitude for the person I've become. But don't mistake this for withdrawal from people. Far from it, solitude has actually helped me appreciate my relationships more. It's allowed me to focus on the connections that matter, those that bring me genuine joy, instead of maintaining relationships out of obligation or habit. When I'm with loved ones, I'm present. I'm engaged. I savor the moments we share, knowing that time spent together is a true gift. Solitude has also taught me to value myself. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that being surrounded by others defines our worth. But the truth is, our value isn't measured by the size of our social circle or the number of events we attend. It comes from within, by knowing who we are and what truly matters to us. If you've ever feared being alone, I encourage you to rethink that perspective. Solitude isn't a punishment. It's a gift. It's an opportunity to hear your own thoughts, to focus on what brings you peace, and to reconnect with yourself. The more you embrace it, the more you'll realize it's a source of strength, clarity, and balance. In the quiet of solitude, you'll find joy. You'll let go of distractions and pressures, focusing on the life you want to live. It's not about isolation. It's about intention. And in those still moments, you might just discover a deeper sense of fulfillment than you ever thought possible. Why I avoid people now. Avoiding people isn't about bitterness or resentment. It's about protecting my peace. Over the years, I've learned that not every connection is worth maintaining, and not every social obligation deserves my time or energy. This realization didn't come easily, but it's one of the most important lessons I've learned in my life. For much of my younger years, I believed in always being available. I wanted to be the person others could count on, the reliable friend, the helpful neighbor, the supportive family member. While this brought me joy for a time, it also left me drained. I gave too much of myself to relationships that weren't mutual, to situations that didn't align with my values. Life has a way of teaching us where to draw the line, even if it takes decades. I've experienced moments when my kindness was taken for granted or my time was treated as if it held no value. I ignored red flags, thinking that loyalty meant staying, even when it chipped away at my happiness. But now, I see things differently. I understand that avoiding certain people isn't selfish, it's self-preservation. There's peace in stepping away from toxic relationships and letting go of obligations that no longer serve me. I've traded the noise of constant social interactions for the quiet joy of meaningful solitude. Instead of stretching myself thin, trying to please everyone, I now focus on a smaller, deeper circle of relationships, connections that bring light and fulfillment to my life. This doesn't mean I've shut myself off completely. The people who remain in my life are there because they understand the value of time, of respect, of genuine connection. They're the ones who uplift me, who make my world a better place simply by being in it. Relationships rooted in respect. The relationships I value most are the ones that are grounded in mutual respect and understanding. They don't feel like work. They're effortless in the best possible way. There's no drama, no competition, just genuine connection. These relationships don't come with strings attached. People stay because they care, not because they expect something from me. I've learned to avoid those who bring negativity into my life, those who thrive on drama, who constantly complain, or who never check in to see how I'm doing. They no longer have space in my world. Prioritizing my own well-being means saying no more often or choosing solitude over company when needed. Avoiding people doesn't mean I've given up on humanity. It's about valuing myself enough to protect my peace. It's about choosing relationships that uplift, not drain. Life is too short to invest time in anything that doesn't bring joy. By making this choice, I found a sense of freedom and happiness I didn't know was possible. A shared experience. Have you ever found yourself wondering if you're the only one who feels this way? As I've gotten older, I've asked myself that question too, especially as I've become more selective about the people I let into my life. But the more I talk to others my age, the more I realize I'm not alone. This isn't just my story. It's a shared experience. Life has a way of teaching us hard yet valuable lessons about relationships, priorities, and self-worth. For decades, I tried to meet everyone's expectations. I wanted to be the dependable friend, the supportive family member, the neighbor who always showed up. But somewhere along the way, I realized the cost of that, pouring so much into others that I had little left for myself. Talking to my peers, I've discovered a common thread in our stories. Many of us reach a point where we no longer feel the need to be everything to everyone. We start valuing quality over quantity in relationships. The superficial connections that seemed important in our younger years start to lose their appeal. What we crave now are meaningful conversations, shared laughter, and relationships that feel genuine. This shift isn't easy. Letting go of parts of yourself, saying no to people who once relied on you, can feel selfish. But it's not. It's self-preservation. The truth is, we can't be everything to everyone, and trying to do so only leaves us drained and resentful. By stepping back, we create space for relationships that nourish us, rather than deplete us. And here's the thing, you're not alone. Many people in their 60s, 70s, and beyond are making these same choices. It's not about pushing people away. It's about finding peace and clarity. It's about prioritizing your well-being and focusing on what truly matters. If you've noticed yourself pulling back from relationships that no longer serve you, it's not a sign that something is wrong. It's a sign that you're growing, evolving, and learning to value your time and energy. Letting go of what doesn't bring joy opens the door for deeper, more meaningful connections. This stage of life isn't about how many people are in your corner. It's about the quality of those connections. If this resonates with you, take comfort in knowing you're not alone. Together, we're learning how to embrace a life that's simpler, more fulfilling, and unapologetically authentic. Embracing this chapter of life. Life isn't about endings. It's about beginnings. Every chapter brings its own lessons, challenges, and joys. At 65, I've found that this stage of life is less about proving myself to others and more about embracing who I've become. It's about letting go of what no longer serves me and focusing on what truly matters. There's a certain freedom that comes with this realization. The beauty of simplicity. When we're younger, life often feels like a race, always rushing to achieve, to do more, to meet expectations. We're driven by the belief that the future holds endless possibilities, so we keep chasing. But as time passes, we begin to realize that it's the present that truly matters. This chapter of life is about simplicity. It's about finding joy in the little things, watching the sunlight pour through the window in the morning, sharing laughter with loved ones, or simply enjoying the quiet comfort of a favorite chair. These moments may seem small, but they hold a depth that's hard to describe. They remind us that life's treasures are often found in its simplest pleasures. A time for reflection. This is also a time for reflection. Looking back, I see my life as a tapestry of experiences, some beautiful, some painful, all meaningful. Every triumph, every mistake, every heartbreak has shaped me into who I am today. Reflection allows me to honor those experiences without clinging to them. It's not about living in the past. It's about appreciating the lessons it has given me. But this chapter isn't just about looking back. It's also about looking forward. There's a quiet excitement in knowing there's still time to create, to learn, and to grow. Whether it's trying a new hobby, nurturing a garden, or simply taking the time to appreciate the present, this stage of life offers its own unique possibilities. The freedom to be. What makes this chapter truly beautiful is the freedom it brings. It's the freedom to say no to things that drain us and yes to what brings us peace. It's the courage to live authentically, without fear of judgment or the pressure to meet others' expectations. And it's the realization that simply being is enough. If you're in this stage of life, I encourage you to embrace it fully. Let go of the noise and the rush, and focus on the things that bring you joy. Life doesn't have to be perfect to be meaningful. Sometimes, the most peaceful and fulfilling moments come when we stop chasing and start appreciating. This chapter is ours to write, so let's make it one of simplicity, gratitude, and genuine happiness. Choosing peace over chaos. In closing, avoiding people at this stage of life isn't about shutting the world out. It's about protecting the peace we've worked so hard to find. Life at 65 is a chance to focus on what truly matters: meaningful relationships, moments of joy, and a sense of inner calm. It's not about bitterness or regret. It's about living intentionally. This chapter is a time to let go of toxic connections, unnecessary obligations, and the pressure to meet others' expectations. Instead, it's about embracing simplicity, authenticity, and gratitude. The journey has been filled with lessons, some painful, but all valuable, leading to a place of clarity and fulfillment. If you've been feeling the same, remember that it's okay to choose peace over chaos. It's okay to prioritize yourself. Life's true richness comes from the quality of your days, not the quantity of your commitments. Let this be the chapter where you live boldly, love deeply, and savor every moment.